Hi everybody, Mike here with you guys once again, and this is my review of Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, recently completed the campaign a few days ago, and what I think about the campaign overall, is that it feels like a, um, action buddy comedy with a satirical edge. So if Paul Verhoeven were to direct a action buddy comedy, it would probably be something like this. The writing is sharp, with some of the best writing in the series, as well as in games in general. It's right up there with Portal 2, in my opinion, with the Stanley Parable, and so on. Um, Also, the three characters, people complain they're not likable, but they're not supposed to be likable. That's not the point. I think the point of Franklin is that he's you. You know, he's the guy soaking up everything. And Michael is the fake civilized guy, is trying to maintain the monster inside him. And Trevor is the psychopath who is pure, meaning that there's no BS with him. You pretty much get, he says what he means and he's loyal, but at the same time he's also very unpredictable and dangerous. So that's my view on the characters. Um, there is a torture scene in the middle of the game that I found very disturbingly fun. Meaning that, for example, I chose to pull to one of the things I did was I chose to pull out the guy's tooth, and the way you roll the right stick felt fun to me, and that made it more disturbing. And my thought on the torture scene is that while the rest of the game is upbeat and it's edgy in its own edgy way, the torture scene, most of that sequence is pretty serious and pretty dark compared to the rest of the game. So although it was well done and it was a bold decision on Rockstar to make you actually perform in real time the torture stuff, I didn't feel like it fit in with the tone of the rest of the game. Now, also, there are three endings you can choose from, and the ending, I watched the other two endings on YouTube, but the ending that I chose, I felt was the most appropriate for the story. And I don't want to say too much in case you haven't played it yet. A lot of people still haven't because they waited until next gen and are just now, um, going through it. So even though the game has been over a year old, there's still plenty of people out there who have not, um, I'm sure, who have not played the game all the way through. Driving um, is the best in the series, I think. It handles really well. I mean, it's easier than ever to go through small cracks between cars, small little spaces. That was not something that I could have done in previous installments, but in this installment, I was able to do it a lot easier, and it surprised me how well I was able to do it. So the driving handles so much better now than in the previous installments of this franchise. But I do not like flying planes. Flying planes is so difficult for me. I just couldn't wrap my head around it, and I found myself skipping missions where I had to fly planes because I they were just too hard and too frustrating. So I just wanted to get going with the story. Helicopters are also difficult. I was barely able to wrap my head around them, but they're easier than planes. I can at least fly one. I still have difficulty with landing it where I want, but at least I can fly a helicopter. An airplane, I usually end up crashing somewhere. Um, alright. Radio stations are, really well done as always. Some I like better than others, but, the best part of the radio has always been the talk stuff and the commercials, and this is no exception here. Um, let's see what else do I want to talk about with this game. I was able to play online by myself or with one friend, but if I try to play with a group of people, um, in an open session, I always get booted. So the online and even with a faster internet connection, which my friend has, I went to his house. He didn't have this particular issue, but he had different issues. Like things would glitch in and out, and like frame rates would stutter and things like that. So the online, unfortunately, is still broken and probably will remain so, despite the improvements that they made compared to how it not launched initially. It's still not stable enough, and so yeah. But at least this time around, I was able to play with a friend by ourselves. I don't like the system where you have to, I always had mixed feelings about this. Part of me understands it, and part of me is kind of like, really? The part where the idea that if you shoot random people or cause damage, or you shoot other players, shooting other players I can understand, but shooting NPCs gets you, makes you stand out in the map more, and everybody comes after you. It messes up your mental state. And on the one hand, I think, well, this is the game's way of giving you what you put into it. So if you want a Carnage fast-paced experience, the game will return the favor. Whereas if you want a slow-paced experience, you can the game will return that favor too. But since you can enable passive mode, what's the point in passive mode? You know, since I don't know, the thing that bothers me about this whole sanity meter is that I feel like the game is punishing you for acting like a criminal. This is Grand Theft Auto. The game is is a crime game. The franchise is about criminals. It's about crime. That's the genre that it takes place in. So, and you know how many people like to cause mayhem in this game? That's all you need. If you're shooting NPCs, all you need is the cops called on you. That's it. I understand if you start shooting other players, why there should be repercussions for that. But even then, if you don't want to get shot, just enable passive mode. You know? So it sends a different message than what Grand Theft Auto usually sends, and that is it wants you to behave. Grand Theft Auto is not about behavior. It's about misbehaving. It's about being bad. You know? So, but overall, I have to say, I cannot recommend this game enough. This game is a 9.5 out of 10. The last gen versions, I would give a 9 out of 10. This version, I would get a 9.5. The improvements, first person, I talked about this before, but first person, I love playing first person on foot. Not so much when I'm driving, though, because much of my view is blocked, but playing in first person, walking around in first person, I should say. Walking around in first person is immersive. It's even more immersive than the game already was to begin with. And the game already looked great last gen, so the fact that they made more improvements to it just made it better. But, and also, like I said, I love the addition of bunnies. And I have a confession to make. During the campaign, I almost killed a couple of them. If that had happened, I would have been scarred for life. I never would have forgiven myself, because I love bunnies. But yeah, there were bunnies in this game. I still haven't found the peyote plant that turns me into one. I've only found one peyote plant, and that was underwater, and I turned into a stingray. And it was actually quite boring, to be honest. But overall, this is a great game. And the thing I love about Grand Theft Auto, compared to other games, is that the pace of the game depends on how you play. So, I have a friend who plays fast-paced games. I tend to go for slower-paced games. And we both love this game because we get what we put into it. So if you want a slow-paced experience, GTA will give you that. You want a fast-paced experience, GTA will give you that as well. So it all depends on how you play. And as for the story, I think it's great, and I think the game overall is a must-own. Now is the time to pick it up, and if you have a next-gen system, pick it up for that, because the first person makes it worth it. Only gripe I have, really, is the stability of the online in public mode, and so that's why instead of giving it a 10, I give it a 9.5, but it still gets a thumbs way up. It's a must-play. Thumbs way up for GTA 5. You obviously knew this already. I almost didn't make a video because so many people have played this game already, and I really didn't feel I don't really feel the need to make a review for this because the jury is in now, and it's been in for a while. But I still want to talk about it because I actually finished the campaign and I enjoyed it. You know, the difficulty varies. Um, you know, where some missions are really hard and some are really easy and some are in between and things like that. But some of the missions that I thought were going to be easy were harder for me, and then some of the missions I thought were going to be hard for me were easier for me. Um, but like I said, if it gets too difficult, you can always skip it. You can always skip missions for the most part. There's a couple parts where you can't skip, like when you have to intercept the vehicle before a heist. Um, but um, but the fact that you can skip missions helps ease difficulty a bit for a lot of people. It certainly helps me, especially with flying a plane. Um, but yeah, Grand Theft Auto 5 thumbs way up. If you haven't played it already and you haven't played it yet, do so. It is a must play. So that's all I got to say, and I will see you in a future video. Bye.